Feel free to check out my TeePublic after the video, and support me on Patreon. Watch till the end of the video for more. This review was possible thanks to my wonderful patrons. If you'd like to show your support for the channel, then you can go do so on Patreon. Last time I talked about the first film in the Yokai Monsters trilogy named Yokai Monsters 100 Monsters. I discussed how it's essentially a little effects show with some soul, especially when considering you have talents from Daimajin, Zatoichi, and even Sentai. And following it that same year would be Yokai Monsters Spook Warfare, which is considered to be the best of the trilogy. Following the same vein as its predecessor, Spook Warfare takes influence from classic yokai tales based in Japanese folklore, more specifically the folktales of Momotaro and The Great Yokai War by Shigeru Mizuki, which the film is named after. Instead of Kimiyoshi Yasuda, Spook Warfare would be taken on by Yoshiyuki Kuroda, the effects director of 100 Monsters. And this makes for a very appropriate transition, as in this film, the yokai take center stage, and have a lot more personality than before. The film opens with two treasure hunters uncovering a strange creature who has hid itself under the earth for 4,000 years. Upon reawakening, the vampiric yokai named Daimon flies to Japan while creating a massive storm, and begins to feast upon the blood of any human it encounters. His first victim being a samurai before disguising as him, and proceeds to tear down any sacred altars and the samurai's home, while also transferring his essence into his steward. Daimon's doing is quickly noticed by a kappa, who then informs many other yokai after a brief encounter, such as Rokurokupi and Abura Sumashi from the previous film. They don't believe him at first, up until hearing about Daimon's evil doing from children whose parents were killed. All the yokai band together to put an end to his plot. From start to finish, Spook Warfare is tons of fun. All of the yokai have so much personality, and it was a very nice choice to have the movie focus primarily on them. Plus, the effects that make them what they are, it's just so charming. That, and there are plenty of funny little moments, like this scene where a samurai is slapping another with something wet, only for Kasa Obake to swoop down and mess with them, resulting in a rather comedic interaction. It's just so endearing. And the scene where all the yokai get together to gang up on Daimon is surprisingly intense for a Tokusatsu film, even if it comes off as a little goofy. But at the same time, you can't help but find yourself rooting for these characters, almost like they're rejects of society joining forces against a common enemy. And I want to greatly applaud this film for its portrayal of the yokai once again, and that is thanks to the solid acting talents such as Gen Kuroki as the Kappa, Ikuko Mori as Rokurokubi, and Chikara Hashimoto as Daimon. And while the human characters don't really have a lot to do, Yoshihiko Aoyama and Akane Kawasaki, in which this film is her acting debut, are pretty alright. And the scoring by Sei Ikeno is pretty great, as it definitely gives this feeling of dread throughout the film. And not to mention, this film actually received a remake in 2006 named The Great Yokai War, directed by Takashi Miyake, and apparently it's not that good. And it's getting a sequel. I'm gonna have to review this one in the future, don't I? While not as talked about or remembered as much as 100 Monsters, Spook Warfare is undoubtedly the superior film, with a more complex storyline and a much more effective premise. And I'm looking forward to next time where I close off this little mini-series of reviews with yokai monsters along with ghosts. But you know it's also pretty effective? Supporting me on Patreon, where for a single dollar your name can appear at the end of every future upload. Other than that, you can also get early access to videos, exclusive content, commissioned video requests, and receive a t-shirt of your choice from my TeePublic. Once I reach enough patrons, I'll review the H-Man, the Secret of the Telegen, and the Human Vapor, so if that's something you like to see, then go support me on Patreon. Feel free to like, share, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and this is TitanGoji, signing off.